Hello, it's me. I'm back, and I know it's been a while, so we're going to jump straight in. This is part 4 of the Australian TV show Cider Vinegar. I've already covered the last 3 parts in excruciating detail and subpar voice acting, so either go check them out or watch the first 3 episodes of the show because otherwise none of this will really make any sense. I'm going to do a very brief, very non-thorough recap because I know it's been a hot second. This show is filmed in a way where we are constantly jumping timelines, so the story itself isn't told in chronological order, but rather we get bits and pieces of time that we need to slowly piece together. So this entire show is based on the life of an Australian woman, Belle, who pretended to have cancer, and she was so good at all of this social media and marketing stuff that she not only managed to fool those that were close to her, but also the entire nation. She founded this company called The Whole Pantry, and the entire story of this company is how Belle is fighting her cancer with diet alone and succeeding. She's basically convinced so many cancer patients to forgo doctors and scientifically proven treatments and instead follow her recipes. Her idea for this company started when she found Mila's blogs back in early 2010s. Mila is a real cancer patient. She was diagnosed in her 20s, and when she went to the hospital, they wanted to cut off her arm to stop the spread of the cancer. Of course, that's going to lead to a visceral reaction, especially in a young woman. Her arm wasn't something that Mila was willing to give up, so instead she did her own research. She found out about alternative medicine and the Hirsch Institute, and the Hirsch Institute became her journey. She started posting about it and her blog started blowing up. She became an influencer of sorts in the community. Belle saw that influence and she wanted it. That's how The Whole Pantry came to be. And things have been going well for Belle. She's managed to leverage social media and form connections to expand her company. She even managed to strike a deal with Apple to get her app on the Apple Watch. While Belle is succeeding though, Mila's having a hard time. The following she built up during her blog days didn't stick with her because she refused to change the way she marketed herself. She hated Instagram. Her company has fallen into irrelevance and she's struggling to regain that influence. On top of all of that, her mom recently got diagnosed with cancer as well. And to make it all worse, Belle is like her worst nightmare. She has a feeling that Belle is lying about her cancer, but she's got no way to prove it. But the good news is that she's not the only one who thinks Belle is lying. Justin is a reporter and his wife was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. During the chemo sessions and the drug trials, Lucy came across Belle's Instagram and she was taken with Belle. For a cancer patient, Belle had a glow to her that the rest of them just didn't have. So using Belle as an inspiration, Lucy quit her chemo sessions and headed off to South America. Her husband Justin, realizing just how dangerous Belle is, starts investigating, and that's how he meets Chanel, Mila's oldest friend and Belle's manager. Chanel is the person that Justin needs to make his story a success. She's got the entire inside scoop. Justin is the person Chanel needs to expose Belle. So the two of them form an alliance and begin their investigations, which so far has yielded the following results. We found out Belle is a pathological liar. She probably has Munchausen's syndrome. She's somehow managed to fool Clive, her boyfriend, for many years regarding her cancer and has gotten him to take care of the child she had before they got together. The people that she used to build the app The Whole Pantry never got paid a dime of the money that they were promised, and Belle's mom hates her. We left off episode 3 with Belle blowing up at a reporter because they talked to Belle's mom about her, and episode 4 begins back in 2015. We're deep in the forests of Peru. Lucy's with a small group hiking through these thick wild trees that feel like they've been untouched forever. Eventually, they reach this little clearing that almost feels like it was hidden on purpose. In the center, there's a spot set up around a fire pit. There are these bright, colorful cushions that are laid out in a circle, and in front of each cushion is this little blue tub, a roll of toilet paper, and a bottle of what's probably bug spray. Everyone picks a cushion, sits down, and this guy starts blowing into this gigantic shell, kind of like a conch. A couple of locals start tossing roots and leaves into a big pot, letting it all simmer, while the smell slowly spreads. It's kind of earthy, kind of sharp, definitely unfamiliar. They eventually pour the mixture into the cups and hand one to everyone. Lucy's holding hers, not quite sure what's gonna happen, when the man with the shell walks up to her, takes a puff from what looks like a pipe and blows the smoke right into Lucy's face. The whole vibe is very ritualistic. The man who blew the smoke in her face leans closer and whispers something before leaving. Lucy smiles before turning to this woman who I think is the tour guide. What does that mean? He says that the medicine welcomes you, so open your heart and drink with your best intentions. Safe passage. Lucy takes her cup and downs the liquid. A few seconds later, the changes start. Her heart speeds up, she feels breathless, she starts throwing up in the tub in front of her, and the next thing she knows, she jolts awake in the middle of the night. Everyone else in the group looks at her as she drinks water. The tour guide catches her eyes. Do you want to share your experience? Go on, it's a safe place. Well, I felt like my heart was gonna burst out of my chest cavity, then I vomited a couple times. I don't know, maybe I was meant to keep it down longer because I kind of just had a good nap after that. Well, maybe that's what you needed. A long way to come for a nap, don't you think? I don't mean to be negative, it's just expensive. Stay open. The plant works in her own way and in her own time. And it's later that night that Lucy understands what the tour guide meant. She was tossing and turning in her tent when she hears something. She leaves the tent with a flashlight and makes her way into the middle of the forest where the voice grows louder. Lucy, run. Lucy books it through the forest, but soon she finds her path blocked by a wall of bamboo. The sky is alight with these bright greens, yellows, and oranges, and Lucy tears up as she looks up at the sky and lets out a scream. But she has to stop because it's silent. She can't hear her own scream. She tries again and again, but every scream is silent, and then the voice comes back. Yes, Lucy? I'm lost. Take a seat. Lucy sits down, pulls her knees up to her chest, and a couple seconds later, a sting drags her attention to her legs. And on her calf is a leech, a big black leech that's sucking her blood. One leech turns into another and another until her whole body has leeches sucking out her blood. Her husband at the same time is meeting up with Chanel with the grimmest look on his face. So, I just came from the editor-in-chief and the lawyers. They're not letting us publish. Yet, they're not letting us publish. Yet. When Justin doesn't respond to that, Chanel gets serious. Wait, hold on, they have to let you, they do. Is that, you're just not trying hard enough. When Justin tries to explain to her that sometimes stories, for whatever reason, get canceled, Chanel gets up. She's done. She made the wrong decision coming to Justin. She should have just gone to the Daily Mail instead. But she didn't. She didn't because she wanted this story to be credible. She wanted it to have credibility, a story that couldn't just be dismissed. And Justin can't help but scoff at that. You know, my credible workplace, we publish puff stories about Belle. I found at least 2 articles on her inspiring wellness journey. Not fact-checked. Told my editor we should be fucking mortified. And that seems to calm Chanel down a little bit. You know, she's gotta give respect where respect is due. As Justin downs his beer, Chanel sits down again, asking about his wife. Lucy's in Peru, and as much as Justin wants to show up and be there for her, he knows it's pointless. He doesn't believe in what Lucy is doing for her cancer, and if he went there, he would just end up dragging her back to Australia and chaining her to that damn chemo chair. Chanel looks at him for a second. Meanwhile, Belle is just running around flogging her book, and she's got her app on people's wrists in like Vietnam and Morocco and Peru. And you? What are you doing? Just sitting here drinking your cheap fucking beer? But while Chanel is being tough on Justin, she's not entirely guilt-free either. If she had just one wish in her lifetime, it would have been to have never met Belle at all. The relationship started that night of the award ceremony. After Mila rushed out, Belle and Chanel hit it off. Chanel told her all about her time in Berlin and how she recently realized she loved managing people. The hustle and the bustle of the whole thing just makes her feel alive. The conversation between the two eventually shifts to work. Chanel wants out of the Golden Post, where Mila has set up her base, and Belle learns that Mila doesn't pay Chanel at all for the work that she does, so she starts planting the seeds. Mila doesn't pay her for her work, but Belle might be able to. The night wraps up late, and it's well into the morning when Chanel tries to sneak into Mila's bed. Of course, Mila's not asleep, so when Chanel brings up Belle, Mila pulls out her phone and shows Chanel what she discovered the night before. I found it on the skate forum from 2003. She's all over it, posting, "I just got out of surgery, 3 heart attacks, pericardium." I mean, I wonder how her heart is now. It's weird that she didn't put that in her bio. Okay, well, how old is she here, Mila? I mean, if it is her. 12, 13? Last night, you have to admit, Chanel, she looked really well. She said she's given up on enemas because of the smell. You don't smell with them. I don't smell with them. I don't think she's ever done one. Okay, Millie, you know what I loved most about last night? Seeing so many incredible, powerful women standing together, lifting each other up, women soaring together. It's not about that. I'm not a bad feminist. I'm not. And the two go back to laying in bed with their backs to each other. And then Chanel's phone beeps. It's an Instagram notification. Belle has plastered both of their faces all over her profile. And as Chanel is scrolling through her feed, we hear her talking to Justin again. Ever heard of love bombing? That's Belle in active approach. Never seen anything like it. Links to music and articles and recipes and thoughtful morning check-ins and wine o'clock FaceTimes. And we were both shit sleepers, so we'd keep our phones on at night. Like we were teenagers. Belle was ambitious, and I'm not saying Mila was losing relevance, but her priorities had shifted. Meanwhile, Belle was about to go next level. I told her things and she swooped. At this point in time, Mila was getting prepared for a traveling roadshow. She'd put in weeks of effort into creating her own detox juice brand and is getting ready with Chanel to hop on the road when Chanel drops a bomb on her. Hypothetically, if I was to miss the first couple of days of our traveling roadshow, maybe see if Arlo can drive? Let him, I don't know, stick his head out the window? But I need you, Chanel. I'm not comfortable splurging this all on my own. You hate the juices, that's what it is. But it's not that. No, at this point in time, Chanel was living with her dad and her very religious stepmom. So it was either make enough money to get out of the Gold Coast or kill them. So obviously, when Belle had offered her a professional opportunity, she wanted to take it. But Mila is set on still trying to convince her friend that Belle is a fraud. You know how she was like, "Have we met? I found this. I took a screenshot. She used to write on my wall all the time. I didn't put it together at the award ceremony." But Chanel wasn't listening. Her focus was on San Francisco, all expenses paid, premium economy. Instead, she tries to convince Mila that she can use the knowledge she gains from scaling up the whole pantry to scale up Mila's business. But Mila doesn't want to hear it. To her, Instagram is like cancer. It's ugly and fake and uncontrolled growth. But in the end, Mila relents. She gets it. Later that day, Mila's family gets together for dinner where, of course, the entire table is set to vegan-only foods. Mila's dad is looking at the new paint job that Arlo did and is making fun of tofu as Mila comes to sit down. And the atmosphere turns tense when Mila's mom rejects the tofu, saying that she's going to try juicing instead. And Mila brings up Hirsch. We wanted to talk to you about Mom starting Hirsch. I'll do all the support work to get the protocol underway, but when I'm on the road with the juices, we need you to help a little bit with the prep. Only for a couple of weeks, though. You know what, Mila? I don't think going on a diet before a surgery is a smart idea. Do you? But it turns out that Mila's mom postponed the surgery. Mila had such good results that she wanted to try Hirsch too. But the dad, he's fed up with all of this. Do you know what, Camilla? You are not to do this, not with your mom's health. I'm not letting you kill your mother. I'm not killing her, Dad. I'm trying to save her with everything that I've learned. You listen to me, all right? You are not to see her. Do you understand? I do not want you in my house. Listen to me, honey. She will kill you. If you go down this path, this will kill you. Arlo tries to smooth the situation over, but Mila's dad turns to him. Let me ask you something, Arlo. Are you an idiot? Because you just painted over white ants. And at this point, Mila's voice is growing louder, telling her dad not to talk to Arlo like that. And the dad's voice is growing even louder as he continues. Know why you can't just paint over them, mate? Because they go all the way through the wood, right? It's not just on the fucking surface. And that was the state that Chanel left Mila in. So obviously her timing wasn't the best. But the nail on the coffin is that the 15% commission that Belle had promised her, Chanel never saw a single cent of it. But at the time, Chanel was in love with the bubbles and business class flights and the opportunities to accompany Belle to an Apple event, which, by the way, had made her sign so many NDAs that in the show she says that it's a company that rhymes with Snapple. The whole Apple event was a blast. The whole pantry was the only company from Australia invited, and so Belle was giving interviews upon interviews. She met people who run wildly successful blogs like The Blonde Vegan. Articles were published daily about her work. Her app was showcased on stage alongside apps like Expedia, Pinterest, and the New York Times. And as Belle is on stage looking at the audience clapping for her, she can see the love radiating off of them. In fact, there is so much love that they've all turned into these like heart-eyed emojis in her mind. Later that night, she's by the poolside smoking a joint while deep in discussion about effective altruism, when the vegan blogger Belle met earlier in the day randomly says that her doctor told her that she needs to start eating meat again. Her eyes are glossy and her face is red. She doesn't know how to tell her followers, and it's stressing her out. When Chanel hears her dilemma, though, she can't help but laugh. When everyone shoots her a dirty look, she apologizes, and Belle puts out some advice. If the story isn't working for you anymore, change the story. Change the story, change the world. But before she can put any more of her wisdom out into the world, her phone beeps. It's a message saying, "Dad had a stroke." Turns out that Clive's dad had a stroke, so when she's high out of her mind, she calls Clive, who asks her when she's going to be back because he needs to go look after his dad, and someone needs to be here to take care of their little boy. And you can tell by the look on her face that Belle really doesn't want to go back home, and what makes it worse are her words. She literally asks him, "Did they say what sort of stroke? Because it could be like super minor, like more of a gentle stroke," and then lets out a little laugh with Chanel afterwards. And then she completely ignores that her boyfriend's dad had a major medical emergency and starts pitching this business idea that she came up with while they were discussing effective altruism. She's literally yelling into the phone at this point, "Oh, hey, babe, I had an idea. Kids need food to thrive. Kids with bad moms, sick kids in hospitals. Kids need food to thrive." And so on her way back from the Apple event, she makes an Instagram post teasing food to thrive. While Belle is up partying with Apple executives, Mila has started her road trip to sell her juices. Her pitch actually is pretty good. It goes, "Hi, I'm Mila. I'd like to introduce you to my Greenstone Healing Radical Juice range. The names are Bliss, Love, Strength, Hope, and Power. It's a holistic, nourishing, absolutely delicious range of juices at just $16.95 a bottle. All the ingredients are certified organic and Hirsch Protocol approved. It's 100% organic. This isn't just juice, it's medicine." But when no one bites at $16.95, she reduces it to $14.95. At the same time, Belle starts pitching her Food to Thrive initiative to a room full of hospital directors. Kids need food to thrive. I was on a plane recently flying back to Australia, actually from Apple HQ, and I looked around at the food that they were serving in the plane cabin, food they were serving to children, and it was a light bulb moment, ergo, the whole pantry kiosk. If we were granted a retail space in your new hospital, we will provide recipes and meals which are free from gluten, GMOs, refined sugar, dairy, refined seed oils, corn, soy, high fructose corn syrup, and peanuts, all in kid-friendly versions to help our littlest members of the community and their families in this most critical time in their health journeys. But despite her charismatic presentation, the directors didn't bite. So she's sitting outside muttering to herself as her son attacks her from behind wanting a piggyback ride. But instead of smiling at him, she pushes him off and tells him to go run off some energy while she scrolls on Instagram. And it seems like recently people have started to wake up a little. Belle had posted this photo with Chanel where they're sitting in business class, posting with a cocktail, and the top comment underneath that post reads, "You have cancer. Where are your priorities? Do you want fame and fortune before you die, or do you want time with your kid?" And she can't help but feel like people are just so judgy these days. What snaps her out of her spiral is her baby's voice. He's asking another kid why he has no hair, and Belle immediately runs over, scolding her son and apologizing profusely to the other boy's mother. But the other woman instead turns to her son. "You want to tell him, Hunt? No hair makes me a faster ninja warrior. Hunt's mom smiles at Belle's boy and lets the two of them play ninja together while Belle apologizes again. He's not normally like that. I'm so sorry. God. No, no problem. It's all good. Surely it's nearly bedtime, right? I wish. He's decided to give up on sleep. Why sleep? Why shower? Is it meds related? No, my partner's away in Adelaide, so he's just a little bit discombobulated. Anyway, how old's your, Hunter? He's already 8. He's, a little small for his age. He's a tough little guy. I can pick him. I'm a survivor too. And so the two of them talk about brain cancer as they watch the boys run around. The two connect over the fact that Belle battled the same cancer that Hunter is currently fighting. It turns out that Hunter's mom, Fiona, managed to get an appointment with this amazing doctor for Hunter. That doctor managed to treat another little boy's case that everyone else said was untreatable. But the issue is that Fiona doesn't have the money to go through with the surgery, even if the doctor does say that he can treat Hunter. And so Belle's gears start to turn. Hey, I hope this isn't weird, but I've got a platform and my business and I often raise money for charities. Maybe the boys would like a play date? We could talk about what might be possible. But the conversation gets cut off when Belle's boy starts screaming out for her. The two of them turn to see that Hunter has collapsed onto the ground shaking. Fiona rushes over, taking off her jacket and making a little pillow with it. Meanwhile, Belle looks confused. And of course she's confused because she's never really had cancer, so she doesn't know that this is something that most people with brain cancer might have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But she walks over, asks if she should call a doctor, and then stands there watching as Hunter and his mom go through this. This experience is the beginning of her charity for Hunter. She posts Hunter's story on Instagram, she uploads photos of the two of them in cancer awareness shirts, and she starts a $60,000 GoFundMe to fund Hunter's surgery. The fund raises a little over $5,000, and Belle's social media audience goes back to loving her. She's glued to her phone, even at home. Even when her little boy asks her to change the TV channel because the show is too scary for him right now, she doesn't move from her phone because all she can see is the love she's getting from all these random strangers on the internet. The only thing that gets some reaction out of her is in real life when the sound of something breaking catches her ears. Because Belle wasn't paying attention to her son, he decided to take matters into his own hands and broke the TV. She rushes over, scolding him, but Belle's son has entered a little rebellious stage in life. He refuses to do anything she says, so Belle picks up her phone and calls Clive. The man picks up immediately with an apology on his lips. Hi, sorry, it took us forever to get out of the hospital, all the paperwork and discharge, and so he's home then. That must be a big relief. So the television magically broke. No idea how that happened. And I have a Skype meeting with Penguin UK and a charity fund run to organize. So yeah, everything's just great. Just a giant crack across the screen. Sorry, how did the TV break? I don't know. He's been like that all day. He's just mean to me. He's tired, Belle. If you got him down earlier and he slept in his own bed, he'd sleep through the night, yeah? I wasn't really calling for parenting advice. We were just wondering if you were still coming home for his birthday party or is home now in Adelaide with Jeff and Linda. Are you gonna book a flight? Because the rent here is pretty expensive if you've forgotten, and I actually have to keep working and making money, or we're fucked, Clive, fucked. And she cuts the call absolutely fuming. A couple hours later, she's trying her best to get her boy into some PJs, but the kid just doesn't want to sit still. Belle tries grabbing him, but that ends with an elbow in her face, and the boy then crawls under the bed, and Belle decides that she's had enough. She's too tired, so she freaking locks the kid in his room. Realizing that his mom is leaving him, the boy starts banging on the door, calling out for her, but Belle just sits outside his door crying. She somehow manages to fall asleep after that, and the next morning she goes to check on her kid, only to find him sleeping on the floor and his bed sheets filled with vomit. Apologizing profusely, she hugs her baby, asking what happened. At the same time, Chanel enters the house carrying like 6 containers filled with food. She made some food for Hunter and wants Belle to pass it along. But when she sees Belle running down the stairs, she stops talking. When Chanel extends an invitation to help, Belle asks her to drive them to Dr. Phil's hospital. And the building they pull up to is strange, to say the least. Chanel looks around very perplexed when there are boxes just laying around and an old man in a small room stapling something together. Up the stairs, there's a little waiting room set up, but it's literally just like a bunch of cream-colored chairs lined up against the wall. On the right-hand side, there are a bunch of miscellaneous furniture and decor pieces just in a pile. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that this looks nothing like what you would expect a hospital to look like. Almost as soon as Belle and Chanel sit down, a man in a button-down shirt and orange shorts walks out. "Oh my God, look at how big you are. How old are you now?" "I'm turning 4. 4? Wow. Hey, Belle, can he have some sugar-free lollies?" Belle gives him permission, and the doctor gets on the ground and plays that game where he like hides candy in his hands and then asks the kid to pick one of his hands. So this maybe doctor is really good with kids. He leads Belle's kid into his room with the promise of more candy, but the strangest part of it all is that Belle doesn't follow. She doesn't look even the slightest bit worried when the door to the doctor's office closes, and I get it, like in a perfect world, you wouldn't think twice before leaving your child with a doctor, but something about this whole setup just feels off, so the fact that Belle didn't follow definitely raised my eyebrows. Let me know if you felt the same or if I'm just overreacting. Anyway, Chanel is outside the waiting room, pacing, looking more worried than Belle. "Hey Belle, I was thinking, did you maybe want to give Clive like a ring, or maybe Nathan?" But instead of answering her questions, Belle changes the subject. "Hey, thanks for the casseroles. Fiona asked me to pass on how much she appreciated the last batch, and Hunter's dad really liked the chickpea curry. They're just so moved by all the grassroots support." Chanel gets in maybe 2 more lines about how Belle's kid is gonna be fine before the door opens. "Mom, I had a monster in my tummy." "Yeah, it's just a bug. Lots of fluid. Let him rest over the next couple of days. Hydrate, watery apple juice, and a little bit of rest and he'll be fine in a day or so." Belle hugs her child close, apologizing. "You can sleep with me tonight, okay? Oh, I'm so sorry. You can sleep with me every night." And apparently from watching this interaction, the doctor decides that maybe Belle needs a checkup too. So Belle leaves her kid with Chanel and follows the doctor into his room. Inside, she takes off her shoes, then her jewelry, and then her clothes. Oddly enough, she isn't given a hospital gown to wear. Instead, she's in her underwear. She gets a medical device attached to her waist, some other devices stuck to her temples, and then she's made to hold these 2 red rods. Belle actually looks nervous as the doctor turns the machine on. "Can you see anything? What is it?" The doctor takes a look at Belle's readings before sitting down on the patient bed beside her. "Cluster. There's DNA damage in your liver too. You must be in a lot of pain right now. Hey, we're gonna get through this. We've just gotta stay the course, all right? So, your little fella mentioned that dad is away and he doesn't like being alone with you." Belle's tears get even bigger when she realizes that her child doesn't like her anymore, but her doctor is quick to console her. No, Annabelle, he's afraid that you might die and that he's not gonna know what to do. And that is obviously terrifying for your little boy. It's not your fault, and I want you to take that off your shoulders. I know what you're like. I've always told your mother she was far too tough on you, so please don't do that to yourself as well. You're a good soul, Annabelle, and you're a great mom. You deserve to be well." And then he pulls out this gigantic suitcase. It's some sort of tumor suppressor that he's somehow managed to get through customs. This little machine is going to help Belle with her supposed cancer, but it's not a cheap machine. He charges her $10,000 for it. Honestly, the first time I watched this, I was kind of confused, and let me tell you why. So up until now, they made it sort of seem like Belle knew she made up her whole cancer diagnosis, but suddenly there's a doctor, and I put that in quotes because this man is clearly like a top-tier con artist, but he's validating Belle's claims. It's just like a sudden, strange, kind of narrative shift that I found interesting. Anyway, while Belle's life took a turn for the worse recently, Mila is still on the road with her juices. She makes her way into this boho-style medical shop. Hi, I have the Greenstone Healing Juice range. My assistant Chanel made an appointment. The store owner takes one look at the bottles. They're very pretty bottles, but do they need refrigeration? Mila's expression drops as she admits that they do need refrigeration, and you can't help but feel bad for her even though she's also just as insane as Belle. And apparently the shop owner feels the same way because she offers Mila some pot brownies. Mila politely declines, and when the shop owner tells her that she looks like she's carrying some pain, Mila can't help but open up. She beat her cancer, but right now there's a flare-up in her arm. Interestingly enough though, the shop owner asks to see Mila's arm. Mila rolls up her sleeves and she's got like multiple large bumps on her arm. It's very clear that her cancer has come back. Have you seen a doctor? Yeah, they want to cut me up and fry me. Oh, I know that song. Have you ever heard of black salve? It's homeopathic, looks like Vegemite, and it smells like the devil's ass. I'm not legally allowed to sell this in Australia just because the governments are scared of its potential to destroy the big cancer industry. Do you want to try it? She pulls out this little container. If you know like how Laneige product packaging looks like, it's a container like that. She takes the smallest bit of the salve on her finger and puts it on Mila's bump, and the tingling is almost instant. I think this is something I personally tend to look for too. Like if something I put on my skin is tingling, I tend to lean more like on the side that it's actually working, but that is absolutely false. Some things are meant to tingle while others are not, so please do your research if something is tingling. Either way, for Mila, that tingling sensation was all she needed. She takes the black salve with her, and when Arlo leaves her alone so he can go for a little surf, Mila puts the salve all over her forearm before making a phone call to her mom. And guys, her mom is really going through it. She looks so tired, but she's trying to be strong for Mila. Mila's got a big day today. She's got this speaking gig, and these are the sorts of events that Mila had always enjoyed because when she first started this whole thing, that was what made her happy. Having all of these people listening to what she had to say, putting smiles on their faces with her little jokes. But where her starting was filled with rooms filled to the brim, this one has a sparse audience. Drugs don't cure cancer. They just don't. Cancer is nothing more than your body saying something has to give. The doctors wanted to cut off my arm. You know, not everyone realizes it was my whole arm, not just a bit, it was up to the shoulder, and it wasn't a vanity thing, but instead of paying attention to Mila's talk, the few people that are there start whispering to each other, throwing Mila completely off course. They wanted to take my arm away from me. Anyway, this beautiful man gave me a stone. Basically, I stopped thinking with my head and started feeling with my body, and I'm so glad I did. But honestly, she doesn't look like she's glad that she did. The entire presentation is tense and awkward, and everything bursts from Mila later in that day when Arlo and her go out for dinner. They stopped at this organic restaurant, and Mila can't help but scoff at Belle's Instagram. She's Mother Teresa now. Look at this. It's all about her. And it could just be me, but to me, it looked like Arlo is looking at her with a bit of pity. I could be wrong, and let me know if you had a different take on this scene, but it's almost like he realizes that Mila's time in the spotlight is up, and it's heartbreaking for him to see that Mila doesn't realize this. Their burgers arrive and Mila tries to talk to the waitress. I'm so glad we found somewhere safe to eat. It's all truck stops, sausages growing hairs out there. But the waitress simply says enjoy and leaves because, I mean, what else is she supposed to say to that? Anyway, Arlo attempts to suggest that maybe they should consider wrapping up the road trip a little early. It's not that he doesn't love traveling with her, and before his explanation can go any further, Mila, who'd taken a bite out of her sandwich, spits it out like it was poison. What the fuck is that? Can you go check if this plant burger is 100% organic? When Arlo doesn't move, Mila raises her voice, setting the poor man running. He comes back a few minutes later looking nervous. Okay, so the burgers themselves are 100% organic, but some of the other ingredients may not be. And Mila loses it. She yells at the waitress, she yells at Arlo. The only reason she stops is because she realizes people are filming her. And so they head home. Things are tense when they get down at Mila's parents' house, but after a quick hi to her dad, Mila heads in to see her mom. But her mom is very tired. There are clothes thrown all over the place. Her mom says 2 words before needing to take a minute to breathe, and seeing this breaks Mila's heart. Later that day, she jumps on a call with Alma, the person who runs Hirsch. She tells her all about her mom's condition and how it's getting worse. And Alma's suggestion is to bring Mila's mom into the institute so that they can more tightly control what her mom's diet and habits look like. So Mila's mom starts packing. The dad tries one final time to convince her that she doesn't have to go to Hirsch. Instead, they could just take a left instead of a right at the intersection, and poof, they'll be at the hospital. She doesn't have to do what Mila says. But the mom's response to that is heartbreaking. She has to go because she let Mila go. What kind of mother would she be if she chooses to go to the doctor for herself but backed her daughter when she said she didn't want to? How could she be able to live with herself knowing that she sent her daughter to a place she didn't even trust to truly cure Mila's cancer? And so with one final coffee enema administered by Mila, the family sets off to the airport. One final goodbye later, they're on the plane to Mexico. Meanwhile, Belle is busy planning a party for her son, a birthday party to be exact. Of course, Chanel is there as well, helping cut some lemons or something, and while she's doing that, she can't help but be curious. Is Dr. Phil coming today? Bubby's all better, so... Where did you meet him, Dr. Phil? But Belle is saved by the sound of her front door opening. Clive is back. She ushers him off to go get ready for the party, and when the front door opens again, she starts yelling for her son to come downstairs so he can play with his friends. So the party begins, and honestly, her kid looks like he's having the time of his life. Belle has pulled out all the stops for this party. There's not only immaculate food, but there's also a face painter at the party along with like one of those traveling reptile shows. Belle is going around taking videos and photos of her son's absolutely glowing face. She actually also invited Nathan to the party. The two of them have a quick catch up and everything is perfect, except that Clive still hasn't come down. Belle goes up to check on him and she finds him laying in bed looking distraught. Babe, you coming down? Just had to call Mom and Dad. The new nurse arrived. How is Joff today? We should FaceTime them after the party. I want them to feel included. Well, actually, Dad thinks that I should leave you. Thanks a lot, Jeff. You know, didn't know he had his language back. Did he say why? And your mom? You think that maybe they want you back in Adelaide? I've lured you away. I can't give you your own baby. She died. That's my fault. Actually, they wonder if you do have cancer, Belle. Now, why would they wonder that, Clive? It's a pretty fucked up thing to wonder. I expect that from Linda, but she's never really liked me. I just sat with my dad in the ICU. Don't be a martyr, Clive. I've done all the work today. The oncology ward was 1 floor up. You're a hypocrite. You fuck up my relationship with my child and then swan back in here with your parents' bullshit. You're a sheep. You know that, don't you? You're so fucking influenced by everyone all the time. She storms back downstairs. Her breathing is heavy as she looks around at everyone in her house, and you can tell that her wheels are turning. She's trying to figure things out, and you can tell exactly when she does. The look in her eye changes, and she starts clapping to get everyone's attention. Cake? Who wants cake? Chanel tries to ask if she should take the ice cream out of the fridge, but when Belle walks past her, either deliberately ignoring her or simply because she didn't hear Chanel decides to go to the freezer anyway. But what she finds in there while she's looking for the ice cream baffles her. It's the containers of food that she bought over that day that Belle made her drive to Dr. Phil's. The food that was meant for Hunter and his family. It's still in Belle's fridge. Chanel slowly approaches Hunter's mom and introduces herself. Hi. Sorry, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Chanel. Hi, I'm Fiona, and this is Hunter. Chanel gives Hunter a quick fist bump before changing the topic to what she's really curious about. Heard you enjoyed the chickpea curry? I was a little on the fence about the raisins. I don't think that we tried that one. I've been having plenty of the mini quiches though. They're really good. Belle lied. Chanel had spent all weekend cooking for that family and Belle never passed them on. She kept all the food for herself. At the party, Clive has made his way downstairs for the cake cutting, but he stands off to the side looking at Belle as she and Nathan crowd their son and set up the cake. And I guess it's one of those times where you could just feel someone stare on you, because Belle looks up at Clive and her smile drops when she realizes he is far from happy. If he's starting to doubt her, then is everyone else? Is Chanel? After the cake cutting, Belle rushes her kid outside, telling him to go play while she cuts the cake and gets the fruit platter ready for the adults. But in the kitchen, she takes a deep breath before lifting the plate with a smile and heading out to the living room. Halfway through, though, she stops abruptly. Her face starts shaking. The fruit platter falls to the ground and shatters as Belle falls, convulsing violently. She looks exactly the same as Hunter did when he collapsed at the hospital. Back with Lucy in the forests of Peru, the leeches that had attached themselves to her body slowly unleash themselves, but when the last one falls off Lucy's body, her body starts to shrink, and it's not shrinking in the sense of her getting thinner, but shrinking in a way that makes it seem like she's almost decaying. Like her skin is sinking into her bones and she's getting thinner and thinner. Meanwhile, Mila and her mom have landed at the airport. Mila steps forward to grab their luggage, but 2 seconds later, her mom falls off the wheelchair. Mila cries for help, and at the same time, Hunter's mom is asking the people at the party to give a still convulsing Belle some space. And then back to Lucy's body, which is now a skeleton that's been taken over by beautiful flowers. It looks like it's the end until suddenly Justin's voice rings out in the forest. Lucy jolts awake looking perfectly normal and healthy, only to find out that she'd somehow dialed Justin. He's calling out, asking if everything is okay, and with the brightest smile we've seen on Lucy in a very long time, she says that she's doing better than ever. But while Lucy is doing better than ever, Mila's entire life is falling apart. The paramedics have arrived and they're rushing to get her mom to the hospital, but every step feels like it's taking 10 years, especially since her mom won't respond to her at all. Mila's mom is not the only one who can't respond, though. Hunter's mom can't seem to get a response or an answer or anything from the crowd to one simple question. All she wants to know is if this has ever happened to Belle before. But instead of answering, everyone stands there watching. When Belle's son comes running into the room screaming for his mom, Clive picks him up and takes him out of sight. No one is rushing to take Belle to the hospital because they all know how much she hates hospitals. And she's not the only one. Lucy heads back to the campsite where her tour guide greets her excitedly. "Look at you. Did you see? Everything. Do you want to stay another week? We have a curandero, a medicine man, coming through. There's more to learn." And as Lucy sits down on her log with hope in her eyes, the tour guide comes up to her with a credit card machine. "Do you want that in Australian dollars?" And that is the end of episode 4. So, what do you guys think so far? The end scene really got to me because it is heartbreaking in my opinion. Lucy looks the happiest she's been in months, but the thing that's giving her all of this hope is just a business to these people. Also, can we talk about the fact that Mila basically killed her mom? Like, it's crazy how she pushed for her knowing it didn't work on her. I also loved how she called the paramedics when her mom collapses but refuses to believe anything that they say. I feel horrible for her dad, Mila's dad, but I guess one silver lining is that he probably expected this when they said their goodbyes at the airport. Mila's dad and Clive, I think, are the biggest victims in this whole situation. Anyway, I love this show so much, and it's been out for about 5 months, so if you haven't watched it, I highly suggest just going and giving it a watch. It's so well done. Now, a little about where I've been. It's been a very long time since my last video, almost 4 months now, I think, but I swear I didn't forget about this channel. It's still very much in the forefront of my mind, but things have been hectic at work. We had a soft launch earlier in the month and a really important launch coming up in a couple more months, so I've been spending most of my work time on that, and then I've been just so tired afterwards to do anything related to scripting or editing or filming. I'm also working on getting promoted, so that's been another thing that's been eating up quite a bit of my time. But outside of work, things have also been a little busy. I'm sure some of you have noticed the background change from these videos to the videos that I originally started out with, and that's because I moved. I was in the West Coast for a couple of years, and now I'm back in the East Coast where I grew up, and all of my friends and family are located here, so obviously they've been taking a lot more of their time, a lot more of my time. I really love hanging out with them on my weekends, so my weekends have been filled with fun, but that does limit time for filming. And I also took some time to travel with my family. We visited some really cool, very awesome places, and we're probably going to do that a lot more before my parents get too old and can't travel. So that's kind of what's been up with me if you were interested. But coming back to this channel really quickly, I'm definitely still going to keep posting, but I won't lie to you any longer and say that I'm going to be consistent or try to be consistent, because it's just not possible. But I will try to get something out whenever I can, and I hope that's okay. On a completely different note, in the time I've been gone, this channel has grown. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that at all. I was thinking everyone would have left, but no, you're all still here, which is insane to me. And on top of that, we've passed 100 subs. I know that doesn't seem like a lot to some of you, but that's a lot for me. And I guess for the over 100 subs, I want to do a little something. Not sure if any of you remember the background in my first couple of videos, but there were these little embroidered pieces hung up. Of course, those are designs that someone else came up with, and I kind of just bought them off of Amazon and filled it in. But I thought it would be cute to create my own design for 100 subs. Embroidering was kind of like my COVID hobby, and I miss it a lot. So I would love to do something in that space again, and I'm leaning maybe towards something related to gudachari, since that is where this channel began. And who knows, maybe I'll document the process and post a little highlight reel or something about it when it's done, just to, I guess for any of you who may be interested in that sort of stuff. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!